Welcome to the FOGS Queenslander Podcast, our review of Origin 2. Joined by former Origin greats Wally Lewis, Trevor Gillmeister and Matt Gillett. I'm Mark Braybrook. And gentlemen, well, I didn't see that coming. Your thoughts on
Join the club. Join the club. Yeah. What do you think, Walt?
We were smashed to bits. I must admit I was extremely nervous in the build-up to it. That's the best team that they've had for a couple of years. They had strength, speed, and the size of a team that could dominate a match. They went out and you could see that was their intentions right from the start, to make life as uncomfortable as possible for Queensland, and it certainly was. Our guys, certainly you could see them trying to get back into the game, but they faced an almost impossible task. They were going backwards, further backwards, and further backwards, and it was not an enjoyable feature to watch.
Yeah, I mean, very disappointed. But how many times over the years, I think was there. How many clean sweeps? I haven't got that in my head, but
very few.
Yeah, exactly right. 100% right.
Time,
so, and that's why everyone loves it, because you 9 times out of 10, the team who loses the first game comes back and they've got a point to prove, and obviously we got a massive point to prove in the third game here at Suncorp. So, and I mentioned to a couple of blokes over the last couple of weeks that Billy or whoever's the coach can tell you about complacency and whatever, and maybe that's the thing that sits in the back of your head. Okay, we got another game back at Suncorp. We'll be right, and you don't dive on that loose ball. You don't support your mate like you should have. Like you should be supporting him off his hip and take the crabs off him, and you don't do it. You know what I mean? You set yourself up for another run, and you hold back, and your mate gets smashed. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just it's a willingness to go out there and like that not do it half-hearted. You're 99% committed rather than 100% committed.
Well, Matt, you were down there. What was it like?
Well, we talked about pre this game about we know that New South Wales had points in them, and bringing Moses into the side with his kicking game, which was outstanding last night. But we knew they had points in them, but not that much. And it was very when you're there in the crowd and the feel, it was a great build up down there. And once the siren went and the boys got stuck into it, we were just under the pump from the get go there, and we couldn't get out of our end. We're trying hard and trying to run hard, but we weren't playing with what Gilly was just saying there, that determination and grit that we showed in grade 1, just to roll the sleeves up, run hard, and repeat that. We're beaten in the effort area, and I think our energy levels are all a bit down as well. And I'm not too sure what the feel was amongst camp leading into it, and what Gilly just sort of touched on there, that bit of complacency, and knowing that we're coming to a decider in Brisbane, which is hard for anyone to come up here and play. But again, it was we knew they had points in them. We just couldn't contain it, and I think what let us down, we're getting isolated. Our missed tackles, we're making too many one-on-one tackles that you have to be making in Origin, and on the stat sheet that shows. So we're getting isolated there a bit, which is a bit hard. I think we were maybe defending as more bit of an individual,
especially that 20 minutes. That's what we look like.
You can't solve Origin by yourself. You got to do it as a team effort and get back on the path.
I was concerned the first 10-15 minutes, because New South Wales found their front way too easy. Yeah. And then we and their play the ball speed was much quicker than ours. And I know what you think. Well,
yeah, well, Gilly, we always talk about the forwards being the most important issue in virtually every game, and I thought they had a snowball effect last night. They got on a roll and they weren't prepared to stop, and their dominance in that game, I thought, was as impressive as any game I've seen in State of Origin history. They've got the big blokes up front, Haas, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, and Cam Murray. the work that they managed to get through was something quite extraordinary. Liam Martin, there's probably a lot of people that have seen him just a club footballer that doesn't come up with too much. He was frightening the life out of a lot of our blokes, and
he makes a change, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does. And we used to have. I know we all used to talk about putting the fear in the opposition, that being an extremely tough part of the game, but an absolutely essential one that you need to do, because when they're running onto the ball, they've got intentions of catching it and then turning around and having a look. If you put fear into them, you know that you're half a chance of seeing them watching the ball and then just springing the eyes around it. I better keep that arm there. I know I'm going to cop one under the rib cage. So that was something that I hate giving New South Wales credit for that, but that was a wonderful performance from them, and I think one that was just waiting to take place because you could see the embarrassment that they'd taken from game one.
Well, when was their mistake? What minute of the game was that? Because I think the first 20 minutes they didn't make a mistake.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
I mean,
and in the modern game, it's so hard to change momentum, isn't it? Once the team gets on a roll, that 70-30 percentage in the first half. But I think back to Gilly, your point about maybe 5 or 10% off is not much, but at Origin it doubles. And the first try for New South Wales, that missed tackle by Tommy Dearden, whose defence has been outstanding. That was that sort of, to me, said that maybe they're just not quite there. The way that first try was pretty easy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, even for that, he just didn't have he was defending him, but he just didn't have his body square on Liam.
Which is very much unlike
you put your body on, you're a chance of he just rocked out that little bit, and that's all you need in Origin, that little margin there. Yeah,
and they also ran some very clever second and third man plays, which insisted that the Queensland defenders had to stick around, line up against one man, which left Tom Dearden on his own. And he was targeted by the biggest boys in their team, and you could see that he did his level best to try and come up with it, but when he was facing a couple of players, were intended ball receiver with an option player, that's a tough night at the office coming up.
34 points in the first half, a record. Never been done before, obviously, in Origin, being a record, and 6 tries. It's not going to be easy to come back from that. Will there be scars, do you think, or not?
I think they're like...
Or is motivation?
I think the players are like goldfish, mate, nowadays. They're in one ear and out the other, and they forget very quickly. Because, I mean, you look at the NRL, Cronulla the other week got beat by 44, and then they come out and beat the other team 40. It just blows my mind. But anyway, I think the Origin, it's a different scenario because if... Now, there will be scars, and there's no doubt about it. And so a few blokes will have a good hard look at themselves and making sure that it doesn't happen again. But that's easier said than done. So
I thought the look on Billy's face sort of told it. He's played under some wonderful coaches and had Glory in charge of Queensland before, but he looked like he was on the ropes, and he was trying to think of something to come up with. They tried 2 or 3 things, and they just did not work at all.
What would you say, Wal, to them at a half-time when you're down by that scoreline?
I probably would have said something after about 20 minutes. And I thought, and I know I won't please the NRL bosses, it was time to bung on an all-in brawl. Make it wild.
Bring it back.
I don't believe that.
Bring it in. Try and take their mind off the game. You can see the Blues, they had one plan in mind, and they executed it as good as I've seen for decades. It was a wonderful, I hate saying it to those chaps. It's hard to give them credit, but that was a hell of a sensation. So it was time it was time to get rid of him.
It is
really.
What do you say at half time? Like it's hard to. You just got to I suppose reinforce what you've your preparation and what you're trained to do.
Well, I remember saying it to Queensland side out here. Gilly said, "I'll bet you don't get into the blue." I said, "Mate, I'm the captain. I'll stand back and make sure we pick off the right guys." So,
but it's somehow finding a way to change the momentum, to turn the game on its head.
You've got to change the game.
Yeah. And you have to take a risk when you...
That's right,
Mark, they tried a number of different ways and different things, but the speed of the game left them on the bones of their ass. They really couldn't get up. They had no ability to be able to be in control of the game because they were desperately getting back, trying to stop them from scoring another try.
But the only way now, because and you were good at it, like you used to have to, like to get the ball back. If they don't, obviously make a mistake, and the only way to get the ball back. The old days was Wally used to rake it at Mark and Mark, and he was very good at it. And then I never tried it, but he did it. He would have got up me if I tried it. But or smash someone or like in a tackle, so you get the ball back and knock the ball out. That's the only way you're going to get out sometimes. But if you're going in there catching and rolling all the time, like trying to do club tackling, you shouldn't tackle club wise. In Origin, I don't reckon. That's just my take on it. But you got to do it occasionally. And the only way you're going to get the ball back sometimes is bend your back and drive in and pop the ball out. Yep. And that's the only way I can think you can do it.
That's what you're exactly right. You've got to make that, make a change with your defence that's coming against you. And that, like you said, it's a bit harder now these days unless they don't make an error. But not as individuals, but as a pack, you sort of.
But if you
pop it out.
Even to get your breath back. So Wally hits me a really good tackle and drives me backwards and puts me on my back, you'll get another 10 seconds, to get your numbers sorted and get your breath back a little bit. But if they're round the legs, boom, you had to roll out of the way, play the ball, another one, there's another one, momentum, another one. Everyone goes, here we go again. Yep. But if you bend your back and get underneath him and get him down on his back and another bloke falls on top of you, it's just... nice slow play the ball. Everyone goes, thank God we get our breath back.
I know our suggestions all sound pretty easy. Should have done. But they were in a position where they were on the ropes halfway through the first half. It was off. If they get another try here, we're gone. The match is over. So they desperately needed to come up with something which was going to change the course of the match. And they're not easy to do. Sometimes they're expensive. And what they cost with players on the sideline, or I don't think I don't think they'd have send-offs too much in Origin football anymore. But it was time to make sure that the whole course of the match changed.
What are you alluding to?
Bung on a stink.
Is this Billy's greatest challenge? His third year as coach. He's lost games before, but the way the loss came about.
Yeah, Mark, and I've got to say that every time I've watched sort of Billy before, he's never looked like he's had
flustered.
He's never looked like he's had a problem. Last night, I think you could see him. He's thinking, I've tried this. That ain't working. What am I going to do? And it appeared as though that there weren't too many options left for him to try. And he's played under some wonderfully experienced coaches that have given him great support and provided a learning curve.
So what do you do at Origin level? Because at club level, you get back together the next day and you go through it. All the players have gone away. Billy won't see them as a group until in 2 weeks' time. So
I think that's it's a good thing that you have to back up for your club. This weekend, get your mind off it and you want to get back out there. They would review the game. They wouldn't have slept much last night, after that performance. As a player, we've all been there. When you don't perform well, you're just thinking, I could have done this, I could have done that. What went wrong? You try and assess yourself before you start blaming others. But, it would have been a hard night last night for the boys. But the best thing is to go out and put a good performance in for your club. Do that well. And then, Billy will touch base with them, no doubt, and say, reinforce things, and they'll do their review when they get back into camp. But again, you just got to move on. It's done now. Move on to the game 3, and no better place to come for a decider up here at Suncorp Stadium.
Is that another motivating factor too? Something that the players will have in the back of the mind that we're going home. It's a decider, a chance to be part of history. There's nothing better than a deciding Origin match at Suncorp Stadium if they can't get up for that. Same for New South Wales, I suppose.
Obviously, mate, the ratings will be through the roof. It'll be the league got what they wanted. No disrespect to anyone, but they got what they wanted, and obviously Suncorp was sold out ages ago anyway. So, but the ratings will be through the roof, and obviously, I want Queensland to win, but I mean, it'll be dead set a cracker of a game. So, I mean, but they always are.
And Suncorp's obviously going to be different. I know we can't rely on Suncorp, but I just thought you go through the stats from playing in Melbourne at that ground. What have we got? One
from 6 or something.
1 from 6 or 1 from 7, I thought it was.
1 and 6 of my opinion.
7 losses, and it's an open, almost an amphitheatre type atmosphere. When they're playing at the joint across the road here, it's going to be a little bit tight, and they're going to know.
The problem with that too, Wal, is New South Wales love playing there too, though, because the blokes have told me that. They said, mate, it's the best atmosphere in the world.
Yeah. You know, it might be the best atmosphere in the world, but they don't have a real good record playing at the best atmosphere in the world. Yeah.
It's been quite a few years since they've won a decider at Suncorp. So, was there anything to like about Queensland's performance?
I thought Mo Fodder weaker when he come on. I thought he was exceptional actually, and that that probably sounds a little bit silly, but he's one of them blokes, and I mean he's been doing it for the Titans for ages. He never gets dominated, like he's that build. He's like a shorter Glenn Lazarus type of build, and when he hits the ball up, mate, he can't be dominated, and his defensive like technique and stuff like that, I think is exceptional as well. So I already have 14 tackles, 71 run meters, and 2 tackle busts or something.
Coming off the bench, is that one area that we can touch on that you spoke early? Well, I think the first thing you mentioned is that Queensland got bashed, that maybe there needs to be more size in that forward pack, particularly at the start of a game?
Well, we were going through it before, trying to come up with some of the guys that you'd use for size and ones that are currently in form. They don't go hand in hand together. Size certainly would play a big role in it, mate. I've got to say I agree with you there. It'd be enormous. But the one thing that I thought was quite evident last night, Queensland got run off their feet. They were like a boxer that had got put to the canvas in the opening seconds, and were just trying to get back into it, trying to hold themselves in the game. But it just kept going from side to side, end to end, and they didn't have anything to celebrate either. I was trying to sort of keep an eye on Daly Cherry Evans to find out what he was doing to try and give Queenslanders a little bit more oxygen. If there's one thing I think that they should have done, and I used to try and rely on it, if you were ever doing it really tough in a situation like that, the first thing you want to do is stop the play. Just get it out, make sure, and don't do it at all. DCE, well, you can see 30 tackles for a halfback. You can understand why he wasn't quite displaying the wonderful attacking play that he's got on board. But to be able to say that whenever he carted the ball, he made 9 metres in all that time. So New South Wales defence was obviously all about not allowing the ball to get past wider. They'll try and keep it as tight as possible.
Yeah, I just don't think we just got a chance to play our footy. Bill had a plan there with our forwards and the way we want to play. I don't think size is going to change too much. Obviously, it's a little bit of advantage, but like if you're playing as a team in the Queensland way, we'll get the job done.
Yeah, size can go against you.
Yeah, we've got mobile forwards that can play long minutes, can stay in the grind. We just did not get the chance in that first half, and for the boys, that as we know, tackling takes a lot out of the gas tank. So to come in that second half, and obviously we improved that way and got some points on the board and played a lot better footy. But the size isn't going to matter. We're just going to get out there. We just need to have time and get ourselves and bring our halves into the game and Walsh out the back to play some footy. But it's about playing our brand of footy and getting those opportunities.
We're missing a few blokes too, like Flagler.
Flagler, I was about to mention. You talk about putting on a stink and someone to stand up, someone to lead the way. Tommy Flagler's not there. Tom Gilbert, of course, is out as well. So there are a couple of hard men that aren't there for Queensland. But what we also learnt last night, when you dominate possession, you dominate the game. We know that, but also that when you have quality players playing at that elite level, the cream rises to the top. Latrell Mitchell, it must be said, was outstanding for New South Wales, and Mitchell Moses shows how a team can change when you have a quality halfback.
Yeah, I'm sure Gilly will remember me being a big mouth a couple of weeks ago saying, why don't they pick Latrell Mitchell? Why don't they pick this bloke? He's got size. He's got the ability to be able to deliver clever offloads, his ability to be able to make life very tough for defenders, opposition defenders, is quite remarkable. And he hasn't got a bit of pressure on him at the moment.
No.
He's just come back into the top grade. Every time you see him, he's got a smile on his face. Yeah. Well, it's time to make that smile go the other way, make it an upside down smile, make it as tough as possible.
Yeah, for me watching it live, I don't think Latrell was that great, to be honest. You know, he had a few carries here and there, like the few touches he had, he did quite well. But you know, with a game like that with points put on that, you know, we'll find out what he's all about in game 3 when the
you
time
still want to be playing.
Get out the field there.
Still want to be playing.
Yeah, bloody oath to get out there and do a job. But you know, like, when you're watching the game live, as we all know, it's you pick up different things in games and moments, and you see what their traits are when the ball's not near them, or you know, getting back and having those tough carries and things like that. But you know, again, those boys, they all played. You know, New South Wales put some points on us. So
Mitchell Moses was good.
Moses, his king game, like you know, that's
which you mentioned in the
it was outstanding. Like you see on the stats before, how many metres compared to us that he actually kicked.
But even
in there, so it's
Angus Crichton and Liam Martin, they were very strong defensively. I thought too, is that they intimidated our blokes a bit.
Yeah, well, there are the stats, and the possession even up in the second half, and I suppose the scoreline reflected that you know, it was 70-30 at half time, so Queensland got enough ball in the second half to score those 3 tries, which is encouraging. But one thing we spoke about after game 1, which is as glaring after game 2, is the missed tackles, Gilly.
Yeah, that's over double New South Wales. That's pretty scary. 54 in an Origin match is not probably up to standard. It's not up to standard. You know what I mean? So
we'll have to get you back in the camp, Gillett.
No, the sandpit.
The old sandpit. How good that was! Fun, great fun. Not, but yeah, no, that's a bit. But what happens is too when you're continually defending, obviously you get fatigued.
Yep.
You know, then you do have a few more missed tackles, but the ball control plays a part in all that as well. We had a couple of errors we shouldn't have. I think Jaden Sewer had one into contact off the tap. You know, things like that. I mean that's not the only reason they lost, but yeah, you get fatigued and you make poor decisions in defence, you know, and you get a bit lazy and that's not Origin. You shouldn't, like if Wally is defending 3 in and I'm inside him and he goes up and I'm hanging back a little bit. That's okay. Sometimes when you work together, you can hunt them back into you. Like if you got that little combination going well, we had a few blokes used to hunt him into me, and you can clean them up. But our line there quite a few times was pretty staggered.
That's what I think we'll get just isolated too much with those one-on-one tackles, and that's why we see that.
But Gillo, if you can't tackle one-on-one, you shouldn't be out there.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just my point of view. And some of the smaller blokes.
Yep.
Good contact, and DCE does it all the time, good contact, and someone else, the other back rower, comes in and gives him a bit of a hand. But I know that's old school, but I mean, you've got to be able to make your one-on-one tackles, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Well, they just need to be, you know, on song and ID in their shape, and, you know, like you said, you build those combinations over your preparation and knowing what works well. You know, you want to be hitting, you know, your front rolls, you know, they call about dual contact, and, you know, your back rolls and things like that. So give yourself at least an option to make your tackles first. But like you said, mate, you've got to be making those one-on-one tackles and making them hard too.
And they were hard to come up with, a lot of the tackles. I thought their back 3 at the scrum, 13, 12 and 11 were wonderful.
New South Wales, they were.
Wow. Did they get through some work and make life very difficult? And on the ball carrier and the intended ball receiver for Queensland, you could just see them after getting absolutely smashed a couple of times. They were waiting for the ball, and the eyes were starting to take a peep outside and try and keep the elbow in place. I know I'm going to get one, but they played a Queensland game last night in New South Wales.
Well, one stat that we can say was a positive was the line breaks, 5v5. So when you look at that, New South Wales points came from 5 line breaks. Queensland also had 5 line breaks. So made as many opportunities in that respect as New South Wales with not as much possession. So I'm just trying to grab something there.
We didn't convert those line breaks.
Didn't make the most of it.
But I'm trying to, it is something that you can, say, right, well, okay, we missed those tackles, we made more errors, but we made as many line breaks we need, so we can create, we can do this with limited possession. Just trying to find something.
No, that's right.
In that respect. July 17 is game 3, so there is 3 weeks. There's more, games to be played in the NRL. So there's a, potential for injury. I understand that, but do we?
What about the hammer or the
shoulder? Well, he's the doctor here.
The AC joint.
That amazes me. I mean, I'm sure we've done them. I've done both of mine, and you're out for 3 weeks. Yeah, usually.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the damage. I think what's in there.
And how badly it was.
Corey Oates has done pretty bad before, and you can just get the old needle, numb it up, and put a little cigarette pack there. A little pad there to protect you. But it's one of those things. Again, he's playing the outside backs. He's fullback, so let's just.
It's good to see him come back on.
Yeah, it looks after his body. These next couple of games,
and he got when he got going. You could just see that. Oh, he's wonderful. But when he gets into some open spaces, you can just see they think, I'm no chance of matching this bloke.
We just I don't get those chances last night.
I don't think Wayne would have been happy when he come back on.
Yeah. Woot.
When watching the game or after the game, when you're thinking about it and they had time to dissect it, we'll speak with Gene after he picks the side for game number 3 in our preview of game number 3. Are you expecting changes? There won't be many changes because, Queensland has been hit with a number of injuries, but are you expecting changes?
I wouldn't think so.
No.
To be honest, obviously.
Same 20
odd first game.
Yeah, Jermaine Hopgood might, if he's fit and fresh to come back on the side, probably Dave Fafita's putting a bit of pressure on now.
Do you think
he's the big one that's been mentioned for Fafita.
And he's one of the best defenders I've seen, especially out wide. Dane Gay guy as well.
He's a wonderful defensive centre.
He was in the squad.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, if Hamaso's...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
He'd be a natural progression.
That would be a given. But, do you bring him... And we discussed this in the preview too, the fact that, no disrespect to Kurt Capel, but once again, I think Gene might have put the mocker on it with his comments before game 1, the number of times losing outside backs, etc. And there goes the hammer and no Gagai, but in comes Kurt Capel under the pump.
And does a great job.
But you're right. There's been discussion about one bloke since it, and Fafita's name has just come up. They're all talking about he's got to come into the side, and if it's the case, well, certainly he's got an opportunity to prove a lot of people wrong. And to book a spot in the
next
side.
couple of weeks, you reckon?
He's got something about him, this bloke. There's been absolute brilliance, aggression. There's also been a bit of disappointment. He doesn't quite cart the ball as often as most people would like him to do, but he's got a chance now. There's
unfortunately, the Titans got the bye.
Yeah. Mate, against the Warriors last week.
Yep.
Oh, holy moly!
Played very well there. But again, it's a big scoreline, and it's
66-6.
Again,
I know we're talking Origin, but fair dinkum.
What's going on with the Warriors? We could do a whole podcast on that. I'm sure they are in New Zealand. I'm sure they are in New Zealand.
The coach got the coach of the year last year.
It seems to be the kiss of death to get that lately. So many have received that and losing their job. Yeah. But looking ahead to game number 3, gentlemen, I don't think. I know sometimes we over-exaggerate, but is there a better thing in Australian sport than a state of origin decider at Suncorp Stadium?
No. You could not get close to it. And I think that's the thing. Like, obviously we lost last night and pretty disappointing in our performance, and every Queensland will be feeling the pinch today. But again, it's exciting. We've got you just got to drop that, move on. We're coming here at Suncorp Stadium, preparation, the hype around it, the build-up is going to be, bigger than Game 1 and Game 2, and running out in front of your friends and close family members and arm in arm with your mates and going to battle at Suncorp. Like, I'm getting goosebumps now and singing that national anthem and looking at trying to find your family in that crowd. You do rise, you feel 10 feet taller. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, well, I'm sure New South Wales are going to bring forward the point. We've played away from home. We've played the game in Melbourne. We've proved that we can produce our best form on the road. They did. They've got a wonderful record in Melbourne now, New South Wales. They don't have that same record at Suncorp Stadium. They'll go out there. They will feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof. They'll know that Queensland will be out to reward their fans, but also themselves on a fairly disappointing performance. And I'm sure that we will see the best. The one thing that is a guaranteed winner is the legend of State of Origin. It will get even better.
Well, I honestly, if you can't get yourself up for and they will, there's no doubt about that, and they'll be a much better team than the last game. But I mean, if you can't get yourself up for that Suncorp Stadium, it's holy moly. It's the old Lang Park was great, the old days, and and Wally played there 1,000 times, but that was sensational. But I mean, Suncorp Stadium, and I remember giving Malahan and myself and Elf were running the water, and it was when Suncorp first opened. It was the first Origin game there, and I still remember we were like, I'm going, I was nervous, and anyway, I got that goosies too, and Elf's, he's actually spewing.
I said, mate, he always did.
No, yeah, but I said, mate, we're not playing. We're not playing. What are you spewing for?
Got that feeling.
He was in the corner. Yeah. I'm going, mate, play. Anyway, and I remember Petro. Of course, you still think he wasn't that long retired. I was, but I just said, and you think sometimes, you could think about running and hit. And Petro hit the ball up, and I was dead set 10, 15 metres away. And he got poleaxed, right? 3 blokes hit him. I said, "Nah, leave me out of that."
No,
That's just,
no way.
Yeah. And the too big. Anyway, but yeah, what a game it's going to be.
Yep. July 17 it is, the decider, Game 3 at Suncorp Stadium, Queensland against New South Wales. Thanks for company. That's all the time we have. We'll be back with our preview. We'll publish that on Monday, the 7th of July. So on behalf of Wally Lewis, Trevor Gillmeister, Matt Gillett, I'm Mark Braybrook. It's goodbye until then. Thanks for watching this episode of the FOGS Queenslander Podcast. If there's a FOG you want to hear from, leave a comment to let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos.